Good morning, everybody. It's wonderful to see you all here for this very special service. But before we get to the main event, let's take a moment to center and be here in this place. in this place, we come together, feeling the presence of God. Here in this place, one with each other, knowing who we really are. Then we are called to carry our light and shine it all over the world. Here in this place, we find acceptance. Here in this place, we find connection. Here in this place, inside, we find the presence of God. We find the presence of God.
Good morning and welcome, everyone. What a vibrant community we have of blessed people blessing each other in the world. My name is Shannon Hoff-Smith, and it's my pleasure to be here joining you this morning and welcoming our very wonderful Daniel Nahmod. If you are joining us by live stream, please know that you are going to be enjoying a fantastic show as well. All the energy, feel that streaming through to you. Daniel is a singer, songwriter, producer, and a humanitarian who has been blessing us with his music over the years, particularly carried us through COVID, and now is in here in person. If you were not here last night, you missed a tremendous show.
What a show.
Oh, what a show. Oh, my God. I am not lying when I say I laughed, I cried. I literally cried. Okay, I cannot hear last song without crying, Daniel. Okay, inspiring, and he is going to inspire us again today with his music. So thank you for being here with us. And he's going to lead us in our celebration song right now.
I talked hello everybody. Nice to be here. For those of you who were here last night, I talked a little bit about my background, child of two lawyers, and I got plenty of sarcasm and cynicism in me, and you mentioned that you cry when you hear last song, and I cried when I wrote last song, and my brother, whom I love, who is, let's just say, even more cynical and sarcastic than I am, heard me say on a stage once that I cried when I wrote last song, and he came up to me afterwards and said, if Paul Simon didn't cry while writing Bridge Over Troubled Water, I don't want to know what you cried writing. I'm like, thanks a lot. And that, honest to God, that's stuck in my head. That brat. Did you follow that story? I don't know. Yeah. It's like, don't tell me what you cried writing. I don't want to know. I love him anyway. Actually, you're going to find out that actually ties into what I'm going to talk about today. A little bit. Here we go. If you like standing? Yeah, here we go. If you're at home, stand up. Here we go. This day is a witness to my sacred purpose, to all that I'm meant to be. This day is a witness to my sacred purpose, to all that I'm meant to be. Letting it in, letting it flow, letting it go where it will go, letting the power of your presence show the way. Letting it in, letting you know, I'm letting you lead, that I might follow, being a witness to your presence every day. This life is a witness to my rightful purpose, to all that I've come to be. This life is a witness And I will bear witness to your love. I will bear witness to your love. I will bear witness to your love for all my life. Yeah, I will bear witness to your love. I will bear witness to your love. I will bear witness to your love for all my life. Sing it again. I will bear witness to your love. I will bear witness to your love. I will bear witness to your love for all my life. Oh, I will bear witness to your love. I will bear witness to your love. I will bear witness to your love for all my life. For all my life.
Thank you. Please remain standing and let's hear our church affirmation. We align our hearts and minds with the Christ within and find blessings in all things. Please be seated.
Good morning. My name is Barbara, and the affirmation and the daily word for today is transitions. And the affirmation is, I flow with life's changes. Looking at my image in a mirror, I see myself at times when my life was changing. I may see the grinning child who lost a tooth for the first time, or the proud student on graduation day. Perhaps I recall my ambitions as I embarked on my career. Maybe I feel a tinge of sadness, revisiting the pain of the loss I felt during my more difficult transitions. As I have grown spiritually, I have learned to flow with life's transitions. I know that even during the most challenging changes, God remains a constant presence. I will always be divinely protected and one in God with the people I have loved. Moving willingly and gratefully through my transitions deepens and strengthens my awareness of God and of myself as a divine being. The scripture for today is from Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verse 1. For everything there is a season and a time for every purpose under heaven. Let us repeat the affirmation together. I flow with life's changes.
Let's prepare for meditation with a little song I understand you know. I'll just share real briefly that, just in case you find it interesting, the sacred love songs, Witness and When I Pray and Get Ready My Soul and a lot of these other songs, they were all written with a little secret intention to be singable and prayable by any religion I'm aware of. So I actually specifically tried to use language that wouldn't make anyone want to run screaming from the room. And I've had one moment with When I Pray where it was like a mission accomplished, where I sang One Power at a concert with 5 choirs from 5 different religions. And it didn't occur to them to sing a song together. Do you know what I mean? Each one of them sang in their own liturgy, and I just suggested, any chance you'd be open to all the choirs singing a song together? And the director said, sure, but what song? I said, I've got one. And I taught them When I Pray, absolutely proof of concept. Nobody was bothered by what they were singing. Do you know what I mean? Just my little attempt at bridge building. So here we go, a song called When I Pray. When I pray, I feel my heart go deeper, my heart go deeper into my God. When I pray, I feel my heart go deeper, my heart go deeper into my God. Sing when I pray. When I pray, I feel my soul. I feel my soul go deeper, my soul go deeper into my God. When I pray, I feel my soul go deeper, my soul go deeper into my God. Right here, right now, right where I am, right where I am, I pray. Right here, right now, right where I am, I pray. Sing it again, right here, right here, right now, right where I am, I pray. Right here, right now, right where I am, I pray. Sing one more verse. When I pray, I feel my love go deeper. Here we go. When I pray, I feel my love go deeper, my love go deeper into my God. When I pray, I feel my love go deeper, my love go deeper into my God.
And as we begin our time of meditation, let's relax and settle into our seats, removing things from our laps, closing our eyes if that's comfortable, and becoming aware of the breath. Take a deep, cleansing breath. Breathe in peace. Exhale and breathe out any burdens from the past or concerns for the future. Focus in on being here in this present moment. We recall the daily word for today. Use the word flow. So let's take that word in your mind's eye and imagine sitting in the warm sunshine on lush green grass by a gently flowing stream. You hear the trickle of the water nearby as it glides over the pebbles and rocks, and you see the ripples of clear, cool water drifting by. As you sit in quiet contemplation, you realize that you don't know the source of the water, where maybe hundreds of miles upstream, it began as a spring pouring out of an aquifer deep underground. But you don't need to know. You also don't know where the stream is going. Perhaps downstream, becoming a rushing river on its way to the ocean. But you don't need to know. All you need to know is what's in front of you, how the stream flows gently by, unimpeded on its journey. The water is constantly renewing, never the same, moment to moment, always open to newness and change. You realize this is how life is, and more importantly, how love is. Within you is a deep wellspring of love, pouring forth through you as a divine being, a magnificent creation of God, and an instrument of love. You can't pinpoint its source, nor do you always know where it's going or its effects, especially when you allow it to flow unimpeded in, through, and as you. Feel that love flowing through you now and out into the world, a world always in need of more love. Feel that love flowing as you, and notice how freeing this is, how you don't need to know where it came from or where it's going. And now, as we enter a few moments of silence, bask in the pure energy of unimpeded love. As our time of meditation comes to a close, slowly and gently return to this time and place. Resolve to live every moment in the now of unimpeded, flowing love, and prepare for our time of affirmative prayer. Namaste.
You to stay in this sacred place with your eyes closed. It is a privilege to gather together in prayer and to connect heart to heart with one another in faith. We are one with God as we experience this abundant goodness. As we center into the peace of God, we know the power of God is at the core of our being. We go deep into this sacred space and let go of schedules, duties, plans. We allow the peace of God to fill us. This peace helps to remove any discord we might be feeling. We release any thoughts of fear and let faith begin to grow in our heart and every inch of our being. We are so grateful for these blessings. Our prayerful thoughts can bless the world with kindness, and peace. So we hold thoughts of love and peace and send these out into the world. We enfold the leaders and all people of the world united in prayer. Soon we will be singing, peace on earth, goodwill to men. Now, turning our thoughts to prosperity, we acknowledge the abundance of God that enriches our lives. As we hold these thoughts of abundance and blessings, we know that every need here at our beloved Unity Spiritual Center is met in perfect time and divine order. Our hearts are open to the radiant love and energy of God floating into every cell of our being. Turning inward, we feel the comfort and warmth of God. In his healing presence, we know the power of love. Now, let's take time to send out this healing power of love to anyone or anything you want to hold in prayer. You may do this silently or out loud. As we come back to the present, let us hold on to these thoughts of love and prosperity and blessings. And so we say, thank you, God. Amen and amen. Amen. And now I invite you to join me in our November community prayer. In prayer, I elevate my thoughts and recognize the abundance that surrounds me. God, I am so grateful for this precious gift called life, to be a part of everything you are. And thanks for all the blessings of the day. I welcome the infinite possibilities of your good that enrich my life. Amen. My name is Margie, and I will be available after service today, along with Janice, for prayer in the sacred sanctuary. You may also put your prayers in one of the prayer boxes in the back of the room or down the hall by the office. Blessings.
Well, I used to dream out loud. Just being human made me proud. Now I throw my hands up in the air from disillusion and despair. My heart has taken such abuse. I've used my hurt as my excuse. It's like my hope has disappeared behind the shadow of my fear. And I wonder why they say that aging thins the skin. Then I remember I am only one, but I am not alone. I don't need to do everything, no. I can right one wrong, I can sing one song. I don't need to do everything. It's time to dive back in, yeah. It's time to live again. I am unjaded. What if you have to fall to grow? I've fallen hard enough to know. So what if life's not fair? Does it mean that I'm too cool to care? And I wonder when I stopped believing right will win. Then I remember I am only one, but I am not alone. I don't need to do everything, no. I can right one wrong, I can sing one song. I don't need to do everything. It's time to dive back in. Yeah, it's time to live again, unjaded. What kind of life would I live with my heart closed? What kind of man would I be? What kind of world will I be creating if I can love with all of me? If I just love with all of me. I am only one, but I am not alone. I don't need to do everything on my own. I can right one wrong, I can sing one song. I don't need to do everything. I am only one, but I am not alone. I don't need to do everything, no. I can right one wrong or sing one song. I don't need to do everything. It's time to dive back in. Yeah, it's time to dive back in. Oh, it's time to live again. I am unjaded. Unjaded. Man, it hurts sometimes to live this life. Some days I'd rather run and hide. Maybe then the pain would hide as well. Maybe then I could protect myself. But who's gonna win? Is that really living? Oh, I wish I didn't know that the answer is no. Nobody would win. 'Cause I could close my eyes and pretend I don't see. I could close my mind and pretend that I'm free. But my soul knows the truth. Life means stepping back in. I'm gonna open my heart again. Man, it hurts sometimes when I've done wrong. Some days I'd rather just move on. Maybe then I wouldn't have to cry. Maybe then I could protect my pride. But who's gonna win? Is that really loving? Oh, I wish I didn't know that the answer is no. Nobody would win. Yeah, I could close my eyes and pretend I don't see. I could close my mind and pretend that I'm free. But life means stepping back in. I'm gonna open my heart. I could close my eyes and pretend I don't see. I could close my mind and pretend that I'm free, but my soul knows the truth that life means stepping back in. I'm gonna open my heart again. Open my heart again. My wife is smarter than me in all the ways that count, and some ways that don't. But that's a subject for the two of us to discuss. Anyway, she has one of the many ways that my wife's name is Melina. One of the many ways that my wife is smarter than me is what I have come to call the Melina rule. Here's the Melina rule. You ready? Okay, so I'm going to operate on the assumption that I'm not the only person in this room who read the news this morning. Like, reads the news. We'll call it the news. Reads it on a regular basis, or watches it on a regular basis. Stays on top of the day's events. Am I the only person here who does that? I'm guessing no. Raise your hand if you have no idea what's going on in the world, just on a general basis, on a regular basis. You have no idea. So there are a handful of you, yeah. The rest of you stay on top of it, right? Yeah. But a few of you don't. Well, Melina's rule is this. She does not either. She would have just raised her hand too. Melina's rule is, no matter what has happened, I'm not allowed to tell her if it will only upset her and there is nothing she can do about it. That's it. Those are the two filters. If it will only upset her and there is nothing she can do about it, those are the two filters that I have to pass everything before I come in righteous indignation to the other room to tell her who said what or who did what or what terrible thing has happened. And those are two very tough filters to get through. I mean, like most things actually don't get past those filters. And so we've been married 14 years, and I am well used to this rule now. So no matter what I'm reading, in my mind, I am not thinking, wait till Melina hears this. Because I know Melina won't hear this, most of it. And every so often, actually, I will come into the other room and say, because she does, like, she makes jewelry, so she posts on Instagram, and she's out there a little bit. She's not a hermit. She just doesn't read the news. And I'm like, if you see any headline about this city or whatever, don't read it. And she's like, okay. Now, every so often, she'll say, okay, you got to tell me. Because I'm seeing it everywhere, you know, references to something. You got to just tell me what happened. Every so often. But the Melina rule is pretty profound, actually. If there's nothing you can do about it, and it'll only upset you, I don't want to know. I loved the who gave that prayer? I don't need to know part. Yeah. First of all, that was beautiful. Second of all, do you know I have a song called "I Don't Need to Know," which I was just so close to singing, but technically it has nothing to do with what I'm talking about today. So it would have felt like a real digression, which normally wouldn't be a problem, but I know time is tight. So anyway, I just thought that was just beautiful. Every word was beautiful, your prayer today. Really was, to me. So Melina's rule is essentially that, right? Now, as I talked about last night, and mentioned this morning a little bit, I am a child of two lawyers. I'm supposed to stay on top of current events. Not raised by hippies, not raised to be a hippie, not raised to float through life like we're going to do this water workshop this afternoon. Not how I was raised at all. That represents a radical departure from the way I was raised to think and be. In fact, more specifically, I was just raised to think a lot. Process, analyze, reason. I mean, my parents are lawyers. My dad's a civil rights law professor, one of the most controversial and sort of fascinating. I wish I had been a little bit older to fully understand, or at least to more fully understand what was happening in the Nahmod family. For example, in I think it was 1979, we lived in Skokie, Illinois. That's where I grew up. If you've heard of Skokie and you don't know why, it's because there was a movie called Skokie. And why was there a movie called Skokie? Because Skokie, Illinois, when I grew up, was about 40 or 50% Jewish, which I am Jewish, and much of that 40 or 50% was Holocaust surviving Jews, which my family is as well. And one day, the Nazi Party of Illinois announced they were going to march down Main Street in downtown Skokie. Okay? So made a lot of people angry, especially the Holocaust surviving Jews living in Skokie. My dad is a First Amendment constitutional law expert, truly an international expert on the American First Amendment, freedom of speech, freedom of assembly. He landed on the side of them having the right to march because they did. They didn't end up marching, but that's the kind of logical way I was raised to be. My dad had to process this thing, this Nazi Party announcement, through his reasoning and his legal understanding rather than his emotions. So I wasn't raised to open my heart again. No open hearts. I'm not even sure open minds were called for. You know, I was raised in a pretty traditional Jewish home. Anybody here raised in a traditional religion of any kind? Were open minds encouraged particularly? Not so much. By the way, I'm not trying to shame the notion that adhering to a beautiful tradition, whatever religion is and whatever tradition is, adhering to a beautiful tradition, raising your kids strictly in it doesn't necessarily do them a disservice. I mean, I'm not saying absolute authoritarianism is a good thing, but we know what a good boy or girl acts like, and traditional families do sometimes make them. So I'm not putting that notion down. All three of the boys in the Nahmod family, me and my two brothers, we were raised to be, kind of nice people and law-abiding, tax-paying citizens. You know what I mean? We hold the door for strangers. We were raised to be nice boys because we were not given the flexibility to not be. You know what I mean? So I'm not putting it down. I'm not putting it down in a general sense. But for me, I was always yearning for a deeper feeling rather than stricter adherence to a theology or to tradition. It just didn't make sense, and I'm sure many of you in here felt the same way in whatever tradition you were raised. You might have liked the feeling, but you didn't love the rules, or some of the teaching. Anyway, but I digress, which is just the way I am, and it's maddening to many, including me. But there it is. Free associations. So, to return to the point I'm going to attempt to circuitously make here, I can't tell Melina the news, and there is a direct correlation between our relative happiness and our relative awareness of the news. Meaning, she's happier than I am most of the time. Because what we call news, you and I both know, it's designed especially, maybe not in the Walter Cronkite era, maybe not, but certainly now, it's a for-profit venture. And they have very, very astute psychologists working over at the news stations and the websites. They know exactly what keeps you clicking, just like Google does and just like Apple does. They know, so they do, because that's the business they're in. So me reading the news, it gives me that Nahmod family feeling of being up on the news. You know, like my dad, I mean, I can still picture my whole childhood. My dad, he would get the New York Times every day, but especially in the Sunday New York Times, we weren't allowed to touch it until he had finished reading it. I mean, the whole freaking thing, it's like an inch and a half thick. Have you ever seen the Sunday New York Times? So staying informed felt noble. You know what I mean? Like being a good citizen. Got it. But is it good for the citizen to have their hope and optimism and idealism eroded on a daily basis by what passes for the news because it is, seductive enough to keep us reading it? I don't think it's good. That Unjaded song I opened with intentionally, I don't know if you can relate, my skin is definitely changing. I'm 53, and it's a little disappointing to see that my hands are starting to look a little wrinkly, a little old man hands, but for sure. But that's okay, that's life. But inside, I do not want my skin to get thicker, and it does. It gets harder and harder to care. I get more and more dazzled, maybe you do too. Do you get more and more dazzled as the years go by kids who are fully invested in something idealistic? It looks more and more remote from me, more and more amazing that somebody would totally invest in a garage sale to raise money for the panda at the zoo or something. And you're like, wow, I can't remember the last time I cared that much about something. Was willing to just lay out a day or a month for a campaign of some kind, or march and protest or something. For me, it gets harder and harder to imagine. I mean, I'm being serious. It's like I'm sad even saying it. It gets harder and harder for me to imagine caring that much about something. Or maybe more precisely, because I care, but believing that there's any point in marching, or in donating $5 to this or $100 to that. Voting gets harder and harder. I was an economics major. I studied political economics, and there's something called the voter's paradox. If you're familiar, the voter's paradox is that we vote at all, knowing that mathematically our individual vote makes no difference at all. Right? There's almost no chance that one vote decides anything. And yet we keep voting. It is paradoxical if you think about it. But voting itself is an act of idealism, isn't it? It's an act of participation in a system where most of us, let's face it, you and I, anytime we try to call the Social Security Administration or figure out our property taxes or whatever, I mean, we feel way on the outside of the big systems looking in, most of us, most of the time. We are on the outside of the big systems, but on voting day, we stand in line. And we actually do it, even though, again, statistically, mathematically, logically, it makes no sense. But we do it. And it's a moment of real pride. I mean, what other day do people put a sticker on their lapel, I mean, except like kids at the dentist. You and I don't put stickers, right? We don't put stickers on our shirts saying, hell yeah, I bought coffee today. But we do say, I voted today. It's a glimmer, a glimpse of, and maybe that was what was so sad, actually. I'm digressing again. Maybe that was what was so sad about that last election, the last presidential election, where there's so much anger and division. And that feeling was obliterated for a lot of people. The feeling of just the noble, beautiful feeling of idealism that comes with participating, with marching, with protesting, with donating, being part of something lovely just for the sake of it, something that feels important, that matters, just for the sake of it. As frequently happens with me, I run out of time for the things I want to share, but if it's okay to go a little bit long today, I'll tell you a quick story and then sing a song for you to close. And I don't remember if I've told this story to you guys on video. Lord knows there have been a lot of videos. And actually, let me just publicly say right now to all of you, it meant a lot to me, to be a part of your last couple of years from a distance. Of the three of us, my wife, Melina, and our boy, Jude, I had by far the easiest time. Jude had the hardest. Very sad. Watching a happy boy become sad. But for me, I felt useful, and that was everything. And a big part of why I felt useful was I got phone calls and emails asking me to still sing my songs. And that was you. Never mind the fact that the church sent me a little bit of money, which was, I don't need to go into how important a little bit of income was when my entire livelihood and my wife's jewelry work, she doesn't sell it at shows, she sells it at my shows. So when my shows went to empty, our family income went to zero. So, like a lot of people's. So never mind the money side, which was also beautiful and important. But the invitations to sing gave me a feeling like I still existed in the world as a songwriter with something to say and some help to offer. So nothing scripted about what I'm saying here. It truly meant a lot to me to feel helpful to your community over the last 2 or 3 years. My wife had a different husband and my son had a different dad because of it, because I felt helpful and purposeful. So thank you for that, truly. The question I want to land on here with all this talk about thick skin and thin skin and being too jaded to care or to try, the question I want to land on is, do you and do I still dare to care about something? Do we risk it? Do you still dare to care deeply? Because it is a vulnerability, let's face it. Life hurts, and the more you care, the more it hurts. It's not a fluke that, armadillos have exoskeletons. You know what I mean? We all have exoskeletons, and they get thicker the more harm we encounter. And that is just logical. That is a reasonable response to pain, is to guard and protect and buy an alarm system, and hire private security, literally or metaphorically. Do we dare still to care? And the thing that I land on through the Melina filter of, if there's nothing I can do about it and it'll only upset me, I don't want to know. See, she doesn't not want to know, sorry for the double negative, she doesn't not want to know about things she can do something about. That's a part of the genius of the Melina rule. She wants to know if there's something she can do about it. She's the first person to roll down a window for somebody standing on a corner and hand them a $5 bill. And we don't have extra $5 bills, but she still hands it. She's that person. She just doesn't want to know if there's nothing she can do about it. So then the question becomes, what is it you and I can do? Reading the news, very rarely do you and I read the news and encounter an article that is about something that we can do something about. I mean, it's just not what it's for. It's not the Activist Gazette. You know what I mean? It's half a world away, it's a natural disaster, it's a terrorist attack, it's a war. It fails the 2 Melina tests. It's gonna upset you, and there's nothing you can do about it. I always ask myself, can the United Nations solve that problem? Because they've got thousands of full-time professionals fully devoted to world peace. And here I am sitting in my home in California thinking that I should be upset and it's going to ruin my day for what? They can't solve it, and that's like their full-time commitment. Thousands, billions of dollars. They have their own army, and they can't stop conflict. And why am I sitting in my little bedroom despairing about something that's so remote from forget about caring. Of course I care, but can't do anything about it. Like truly nothing. If I send $10 to the Red Cross, feels lovely, but governments give millions of dollars to the Red Cross. I'm not saying my $10 does nothing, but maybe there's a local place for my $10 where it would be felt. You know what I mean? I'm on the outside looking in of these terrible events about which I can do nothing. Meanwhile, someone's sleeping on the street down the block from me, down the block from my house. That I can do something about. That person, I can bring a couple granola bars and a bottle of water. I can read the news and be wrenched as to the state of children around the country. And public schools are a mess, and child poverty and child hunger. No measure. How can you even describe the heart? How much it breaks our hearts, right? But there are kids in my boys' school who are showing up to school hungry. Maybe I drop off a box of something from Costco that they can pick up for free. You know what I'm saying? That I can do. I can't make every child in America happy. But I can certainly do my best with my own boy. That I can do. By the way, I can't even raise a happy child. Today, I can be as good a dad as I can be. Sometimes I think you don't lose, I've gained a ton of weight, right? But you don't lose 30 pounds. You cut back on one meal. And then you do it again the next meal. And you and I both know how hard it is. Because it is, in fact, an ongoing, slow-rolling decision you have to make at every meal. You can't decide to lose 30 pounds. You can't decide to have a happy marriage. You can decide today to not be a jerk, or to bring home flowers, or to do the dishes when it's unexpected. You cannot make a happy marriage. You make one day, and then tomorrow you do it again. Small scale, baby steps. Reading the news makes us feel like the world is falling down around us, and simultaneously that there's nothing we can do about it. What a miserable place to live. Versus, today I can give my kid a hug he wasn't expecting. And I'll tell you, honest to God, it breaks my heart when I do it because I can see how much he loved it. And I'm thinking, why don't I do that more often? I'll toss off, Jude, sometimes I think of it. A lot of times I don't. I walk in the room and I say, Jude, you are a good kid. And 5 minutes later, he'll come over and hug me. I love you, Daddy. And I'm thinking, why don't I do that more often? And it's available. Those moments, that opportunity is available on a daily basis. Not to heal a war half a world away, but to make your neighbor feel more loved. Roll their garbage bin away from the street for them. Put a quarter in somebody's meter when a cop isn't watching, because apparently it's illegal. The little things that we can manage. That's the stuff of daily vulnerability. Reading the news and being upset about it is, as far as I'm concerned, is like a self-flagellation. It's despair-inducing. But doing something small and nice, that's connection-inducing. That's sweet life. That's like the good stuff of life, is the little stuff. If you think about all the little stuff you've ever done for people that felt good, or maybe easier to think of the little stuff that's been done for you, the little things, the little favors. Somebody brought you lasagna when you had pneumonia or something. And you think, right, those things are locked in forever. I remember I've been around the country singing 25 years. I still remember Andy in Sebring, Florida. I showed up, I was doing 5 concerts in 3 days, driving like 2 or 3 hours in between each one. Andy knew, I didn't tell Andy. Andy knew that I was. And how do I know that he knew? Because I showed up at the gig, and he had collected a bag, like a driving food bag. Grapes, bagel and cream cheese, some cookies, because he knows I'm a junk food addict, apparently, because I talk about it a lot on Facebook. A couple of bottles of water. I got into the car that night after my concert there. That bag saved my life. I had no time to eat, and every bite I took, I felt loved by Andy. I'll never forget, it was about 10 years ago he did that for me. Who does that? Who rinses grapes and puts together a couple of bagels and a package of cream cheese for a stranger? Unforgettable. You and I have that opportunity on a daily basis. So Jude is 11. When he started school, I'm sorry I'm going slow. Is it okay that I'm going late? Are you guys fine? I'm sorry. Is it okay? Okay, all right. I really am going to wrap up with a song here. What are we supposed to do if the answer is no? We're going to kick you off. That line from the line from A Wedding Singer. Remember Wedding Singer, Adam Sandler? I have the microphone, so you will listen to every damn word I say. That's what he says. I'm not playing that power game, by the way. I really, it's okay to, okay, all right. So Jude had a boy in his, and I don't know if I've told you the story in a video, but I don't think I did. Jude had a boy in his class, his first year of school. We were just talking about, where are you? We were just talking about kindergarten. Jude had just started school, and there was a boy in his class named Evan who didn't speak a word of English. And he was straight off the boat from Vietnam. Him and his baby sister, the cutest human being I've ever laid eyes on in my life, other than Jude, of course, and his parents, all 4 of them, absolutely, obviously lovely people, smiling, sweet, but didn't speak English. Evan showed up at school, and for the first 6 weeks of school, Jude came home, and almost every day something had gone wrong with Evan. He threw elbows, he tripped somebody, he certainly didn't understand instructions, so he wasn't quiet when he needed to be, he didn't come when he needed to be. Who could blame him? 6 years old, didn't have any idea what country he's in, what language they're speaking. Everybody understood, but it was still an issue every day. And then one day, Jude's teacher called and said, I put it on speakerphone, and Melina and I stand there, we're like, uh-oh, you know. And she says, I want you to know, your boy is such a sweet boy. And I start tearing up, and Melina looks at me like, oh, for God's sake, don't tear up already. You know? And the teacher says, but I wanted to tell you what he did today. It was really quite special. She said, I finished reading a book to the 28 kids, on a rug. I finished reading a book, and your son raised his hand and said, I think Evan did such a good job listening that he should get an extra point today. Right. Well, if I asked you right now to think of a moment where somebody said something to you that made a difference, I'll bet every one of us could think of something. Can you think of something? Something somebody said. And is it difficult to imagine that they wouldn't even remember saying it? Most of them probably wouldn't even remember saying it. And guess what? You and I have done the same thing for other people. A sentence that we just tossed it off. It didn't cost us anything. We didn't even retain it. But for somebody else, it landed and changed a day, changed a self-perception, changed a life potentially. And when Jude came home that day, I said, listen, kid, you don't know Evan. He might be the smartest kid in the room. He might be brilliant. He might be a great comedian, a great scientist, a great mathematician. He might cure disease. He might turn out to be your best friend. He might, just have knowing. But the only thing you do know is that saying that sentence made a difference today. It might be the first time everyone in that room looked at him and smiled. He didn't know what you said, but he knew how it felt. And that made a difference, even if you never find out what difference it made. And you and I have that power. Melina's got it right. Not to not stay on top of the news if it makes you feel informed. I get it. I get it. Personally, I get it. But if informed has transitioned to despairing, hopeless, jaded, too cool to care, too sad or bitter to do the small things and recognize how beautiful they are and enjoy them, how about staying vulnerable enough just to receive it when somebody does it for you? That itself is hard. I have a terrible time, for example, with applause. Always have. I wasn't raised to be on stage, to be a performer. I was supposed to be a lawyer, you know, like my parents. Applause has always been like, I've always done this. Oh, no. It's okay, right? Well, how open are you when somebody says your hair looks beautiful? When somebody says, my God, you're good with kids. Do you say, thank you? Or do you say, oh, no. It's, you know, no, it's nothing. No. Right? What comes out? Well, and I understand self-protection. I'm as self-protected as anybody. But the sweetest parts of life are when a little bit of light gets in. There's a difference between hugging out of ritual and hugging and feeling it. There's a difference between how you doing and I love that dress on you. There's a difference. There's a difference between saying thank you and oh, no, it was nothing, right? We have these choices on a daily basis to be a little more vulnerable, a little more open, or a little more closed and a little more guarded. I would argue the sweetest kind of life is the open kind. Tricky. Nobody's going to judge you for the things you've been through. I understand. But ask yourself whether, who's going to win by staying closed and guarded. It ain't you. And it probably isn't the people around you who could use a little bit more of you, who miss that piece of you if they used to have it, So a few months after that phone call from Jude's teacher, I wrote this song, inspired by it. Lately I've been thinking about what motivates me to give a couple dollars to a stranger on the street, to hold the door, carry groceries, help a neighbor in need. When history repeats itself in headlines every day, solutions are never big enough for problems that we face. As a man, as a dad, what difference can I make? 'Cause I know better than to think I'll be remembered for a favor or a quarter or a smile. Oh, but maybe before I return to sender, I can do one thing worthwhile. So I'm gonna try to raise a kind child. Sure would help if our boy went and got an MBA and took care of his artist mom and dad in their old age. But let's face it, Wall Street probably isn't in his DNA. But when his first grade teacher said she wanted us to know, it's Jude who always comforts any kid who sits alone. There's just so much pride my heart can take. My retirement can wait. 'cause I know better than to think I'll be remembered for a fortune or a pension or a prize. Oh, but maybe before I return to sender, I'll have done one thing worthwhile. So I'm gonna try to raise a kind child. I don't want him to think the world is his to save. That's too much pressure anyway, it can't be done. I don't want him to think he has to be a saint, 'cause the truth is, saints don't have any fun. Mostly I just hope, my boy, you'll come to understand. No 401k or GPA can make a happy man. It's having roots, doing good, helping out where you can. So put down roots, do some good, take somebody's hand. And you'll know better than most what really matters, what makes living this life worthwhile. And there may come a day your own kids will remember how their granddad used to say with a smile that he raised. We raised a kind child.
Oh, thank you so much, Daniel. We so appreciate you being here and your message and your wisdom and your music. Very much so. So collectively, we have definitely been uplifted and inspired here today. Thank you for sharing this experience with us this morning. We know and we trust we are abundant expressions of the unlimited God. So let's take a moment right now from this raised awareness of the truth of who we are. We know that our financial blessings are inspired by this generosity of spirit. This is a very special place, and we have been inspired spiritually through the God that is blessing us as source. We are the channels that are going to sustain Unity Spiritual Center through this abundance that is moving through and channeling through us. Take a moment to share and think about what is yours to give right now. If you're sharing your gift in service, please hold it in your hands. If you're giving in any other way, please hold your gift in your heart. Let's bless our offerings and affirm together. Overflowing blessings of the Spirit pour out into my life, and I give thanks.
All right, I'm going to make this quick. Do one more song. And in fact, I don't normally repeat songs on a visit, but I think I'm going to repeat this one because it ties into what I was talking about. And I told you that weird little line that my brother gave me. My brother said, about Paul Simon, if Paul Simon didn't cry. And I jumped in and said that actually has something to do with what I was going to talk about today. And maybe now you know what I mean. One sentence. That brat landed that sentence in my mind like 15 years ago, and it's still stuck there. And for better or worse, we have that kind of power, that one sentence to make a little bit of difference. So do you have anything more to say before? You can to collect the offering, it's fine. Oh, what? Okay, all right. So, some of you are coming to a workshop this afternoon, which starts in just like 45 minutes, or right after, maybe we'll start 15 minutes late kind of thing, but just a little bit of lunch and then a workshop, and that is about surrender and trust and faith and anxiety and allowing rather than insisting. The I don't need to know idea was a good summary of it. And if you're curious, I want you to consider coming, not for profit's sake, but because it actually can make a difference. If you're worried about things, the Molina rule actually applies in our own lives too. I hate to say it. If there's nothing you can do about it and it only upsets you, it's true about your brother-in-law. It's true about somebody you love. I mean, I'm serious. It's true about somebody you love with an addiction. Sometimes it just upsets you and there's nothing you can do about it. Sometimes there is something you can do about it, but sometimes, a lot of the time, we wrap ourselves around stories that are not ours to resolve. And so I'll be out at that table. I have music, digital music you can download on your phone. I have this cool little thing. It's a USB drive. I still like looking at it even though it's really tiny and depressingly small for a lifetime of work. It's a little USB drive with 14 albums on it. Then I have my wife's jewelry. You heard me talk about it last night, but I'm very proud of displaying my wife's silver jewelry. And I have, my own woodworking. I have these little boxes made of exotic wood. So I'll be out there for a little while, then we'll come back in here and have a little afternoon experience together. I promise it's either going to be relaxing, entertaining, or thought-provoking, or some combination. That's it. That's my only goals. And I'm glad a good group is coming, and I'm glad. It's beneficial. It really is, and I don't blow smoke. It really is a nice thing. So I'm glad a bunch of you are coming to this afternoon. Here we go. One more song from the Water album, as my last contribution to the morning. Oh, it's not true. I'm playing Happy Birthday in a few minutes. All right, here we go. One more song, which I've been practicing all night. Here we go. All right, here we go. Here we go. Song from Water. If this is my last song, if this is my final day, if tomorrow I'll be gone, what do I want to say? If this is my last song, if it's my time to go, when my body's moved on, what will I have to show? But fortune and fame, they scatter to the wind. The things that make a name just don't matter in the end. But is the world a little more peaceful? Oceans and skies a little more blue? Is humankind a little bit wiser about the good that we can do? Does the sun shine a little bit brighter where before there was only rain? If so, then I'm glad I came. You can sing along if you know it. If these are my last words for all of the earth to hear, if all that I have ever been is about to disappear, if these are my last words, there's nothing that I need to say. I have only tried to serve. It's never been about talking anyway. So much hurt there is to heal. It's hard to understand. All I can hope to feel is that I am doing what I can. Is the world a little more peaceful? Oceans and skies a little more blue? Is humankind a little bit wiser about the good that we can do? Does the sun shine a little bit brighter where before there was only rain? If so, then I'm glad I came. Have I given hope to the hopeless? Has a hungry soul been fed? Has a child stood a little bit taller because of something that I said? Have I left a little kindness? Have I eased a little pain? If so, then I'm glad I came. For that, I'm so glad I came. If this is my last song, what do I leave behind? What do I pass on if I am out of time?
We dedicate these gifts and prayers as they go forward to bless Unity Spiritual Center and each giver as together we do the work that is ours to do. Amen. So in service today, we have raised our consciousness through prayer, message, music, meditation, and gratitude. From this place in our high consciousness, let's now repeat our search team affirmation together. So join me, please. Together, with open minds and hearts centered in God's love, empowered in the truth that we are one in spirit, I am gratefully aligned with our new minister in divine order, and all is well. So, as a spiritual practice of tithing, Unity Spiritual Center also gives a portion of our offering to a very special organization each month. This month is going to be going to Our Lady of the Wearside, which is a nonprofit who is providing services to 450 Northeastern Ohio children and adults with developmental disabilities. So we appreciate that. Thank you. Oh, what a big day we are having. So we hope that our time together today has inspired you to share your blessings with friends, family, spiritual community. I love the crowd that we have here today, so keep coming back. But there's so many other ways that we have throughout the week that you can be participating in our activities. We have Daniel's workshop today after service. If you have not yet signed up for that, no problem. There's still time to do that. If you've already signed up and not checked in yet, please do so immediately after service, please. It's based on his CD Water. I'm not sure if you're familiar.
All you need,
not.
by the way,
Get
sorry,
it.
all you need for the workshop is we're going to have a stack of paper and some pens, but if you have a pen and anything to write in, that's all you need. You're not going to be asked to gaze in anybody's eyes. There's going to be no spontaneous hugging. You don't have to say anything out loud. This is a zero pressure experience. It is, I will sing you a few songs, ask you a few questions, give you some time to write and think, and invite you to share if you feel like it. That's it. 2 hours of that. Okay, so that's just to describe it. I didn't tell you that, because I would never come to a workshop where I had to look into somebody else's eyes. I just wouldn't do it. You know, and tell them they're beautiful or whatever it is. That's just not my style.
Are you going to make me cry more?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, I'm good with that. I'm a crier. I can't help it.
Yeah, that's okay.
So this Wednesday, we again have another installment of Plug-in Power Up. We're doing these the 12 powers, so join Susan Armstrong for that. November Power is Release, which I believe is Russet, so join us for that. Also announced last week, we are doing the special fundraiser to pay down our mortgage, so please be joining us in that. We will be collecting If you see a board member, if you want to put it in the collection basket, you can go online for our One Heart, One Home button. Please make sure you're designating it for the mortgage fund, though. It has to be specifically indicated that you're doing that, or it'll just go into the general fund, which is also, if you want to make extra payments to the general fund, there's no worry there. But please, if you're making it towards the mortgage fund, please indicate that you're doing that. So thank you very much for supporting our spiritual home in that way. Wanted to remind, Greg mentioned this last week, we're having a 2-day hot cough event, and that is honoring our past, creating our future, and that is going to be December 8th and 9th. It's Friday night is the 8th from 6 to 8, and then Saturday from 10 to 4. Lunch is going to be provided for you. That is a free event. So help us kind of get a spiritual idea of where we're going moving forward. So save those dates. Very important that as many of you participate in that. Okay? The people that know our history and the people that are going to be part of our future, very important we get a wide variety of people attending. So check out those dates on our website, take your bulletin with us. And now, since you've been practicing so well, and it is the first Sunday of the month, let's get all these November birthdays, Scorpios, early Sagittariuses, let's get up here.
Wow. You ready? No, not yet. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday.
Okay, a couple more announcements. It is change for kids today, so on your way out, make sure you're dropping your coins, your folding money, whatever, however you want to do as far as giving. If you are new, please get a welcome bag on your way out. Very important though, we have to set up very quickly for the workshop. So we have refreshments and everything else going out in the community center. We have Daniel, he's got his table out there with his amazing woodworking boxes. I got one, the jewelry, his CDs, all that other kind of stuff. But whatever it is, go and be the light, but you can't stay here. You gotta get out. Next week is Bruce Price and Eric Fancher, so we know we're gonna have some great times there. So let's stand, do our celebrations, our closing songs.
I am the light of God.